Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're going to look at Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Googl, and we're going to do Wynn as well, and possibly Ntes if we could get into that one, because that's another high flyer that's eventually going to be coming down to reality. So let's get into Facebook. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frame, and we use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So today, a lot of stocks did come into support. And that's why we're getting this bounce. The SPY filled the gap. The SPY hit the 20 MA on the daily or on the weekly chart. Janet Yellen came out, the news driven, the whole 9 yards. They came out with everything to get this thing possibly up, because they knew if this stuff closed below the 20 MA or the 50 MA on any chart frame, that it's not going to be good. So let's get right into Facebook daily chart. So we talked about this. It had a nice reversal, came into this inside bar, never closed below, but it was starting to head, and they know darn well that there's some pretty good support down in this area on Facebook. So let's do that. So this is where it came in, started consolidating, went back up, broke through, consolidated, broke out, came right back into the 20 MA, and that's where we bounce. So now we're looking at a retrace here. Let's pull this up. And this is how we usually short as well. We look for retraces. We're not going to chase. We're going to wait patiently for the retrace. So now we're into the 750 retrace. If we get back into this trend line right around 129, 130, that's the spot you want to short Facebook at. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly, though, I love this nice little topping tail on the weekly at the all-time high. So look at this. We wait for the retrace. It get back into the 130 area or so. That's where you want to short it. It gets over the high of 131.98. You could probably go to about 135, 136. You stop out. Take a half position here, take another half position there. You have to be ready to add, but at least if it goes to the line and pulls back, you're in something on these, because when these come in, it's going to be fast and furious. Monthly chart still holding that big trend line. I mean, it's amazing how technicals works, guys. All right, let's look at Amazon. I'm going to go through these pretty quick today. Let's go to the daily. Daily, again, we had a nice retrace, but look what it did. It hit the 50 MA. They bounced up. They recaptured the 20. Now we're into some resistance up in this area. Down here, that might have been a gap right there, but look what it comes back in, bounces right back up. If you're a bull, needs to keep going. Volume needs to pick up. I want to see some conviction volume come to the all-time high, 790.79, with confirmation. Then possibly it gets higher. If you're a bear, you want to recapture below the 20 and the 50, not recapture, but get below these moving averages. Then I think we'll come to this pivot right around 751, and I think we're on to fill the gap, 736, and then we'll wait for pattern. Let the charts tell us what to do. Weekly, again, we touched that high. This goes back. Look at this. I mean, that's a great trend line. Just touched it, made a little topping tail. On the daily, this one's okay. I wouldn't call it a topping tail, but a little bit. Now we're just going to wait for pattern, see where this thing goes. When we came down, we did hit some support on the daily, 50 MA. So we cracked through the 20, hit the daily, or hit the 50 MA daily, and then they rocket ship this thing up. Monthly chart, nothing really, just making highs. We're going to have to wait until the end of the month for that one. Googl, actually no, Netflix. Let's go in order. Netflix, so daily chart. So daily, another nice reversal. This one came down. Let's see, is that a trend line? Yeah, so that trend line we've been watching, it finally got above. Remember this inside bar that it finally cracked up, but then we talked about the resistance up here in the $100 level. Got up, bam, bam, then it sold off, came right back into the 20 MA, closed below it, but today I'm surprised they didn't get it down in here to the 95 area. Just couldn't push it enough. But then it took off, engulfed this downside. Now we're back into this area of resistance around the $100 level. We're actually at 99.05. So let's see, if you're a bull, you need to get above this area of resistance, $100, 101. Then ultimately we'll get to the 618 around 101.41. Then I believe there's a higher pivot or gap fill actually around 102.55. Then ultimately at 104 you have a high pivot. If you are long, start protecting it up there. Now if you are short Netflix, you want to see this thing just reverse down, get below the 20 and the 50, and then I think we could come down in here into this window around the 90, 91 area, then ultimately fill the gap, and then you're down here in this trend line, which connects those lows right there, right around the 87.68. So right now it's pretty neutral. got to see what kind of a pattern starts to set up. Again, it tried to break out, then that breakout failed. Now we're trying to break out again. If this breakout fails and we end up going down, I'll be more on the bearish side. I'm a little bit more on the bearish side anyways with the markets and the SPY and all that stuff. But that's me. If you want to be bullish, that's fine too. Eventually, I will be bullish. I'll put on the bull costume, pull it out. Maybe for Halloween. Who knows? But again, let me explain something to you, which I didn't yet in this video. If the SPY, the IWM, the Qs go up, these will most likely go up. If the SPY and the Qs and the IWM dump, most likely all these will be going down. Everything at this point is a market trade. So markets go up, these go up. Markets go down, these go down, unless there's some news event or some crap like that. But still, on the weekly, we're still in the inside bar right here. Kind of went up. It's a macro or micro bull, macro bear. Needs to close above the 99.77 on a closing basis on the weekly. And then you still have resistance up here at 101.11. So you have a ton of resistance here. This thing needs to start going. And once it does, it needs to just keep going on some volume. But again, you have the high pivot around 104.43. That will be the true test. If it does get through there, this breakdown area on Netflix, if it happens to get to 110, you have to short it up here, period. 110.71, big breakdown candle, rock and roll. Monthly chart. Monthly chart, still love the pattern, inside bar, bearish pattern. We are still above the 20, but on the monthly close, if this thing closes below the 20 at the end of the month, it's going to start getting ugly. That's the first step of the process, and I think we can start getting down. Love the consolidation here. This one's getting ready for lower prices as well as the markets as well. Again, market trade. If the markets go down, Netflix goes down. If the market goes up, Netflix will go up. Let's get into Googl L. Googl L had a nice retrace today, right back to the 20 MA, recaptured it. That's like their goal. As long as they're above the 20 MA, the 50 MA, the 200 MA, that's strong. And the technical analysis guys, they come in, oh, it's above the MAs, it's strong, just buy it, you know. But gosh, you know, let's see. I'm going to throw a line up in here now. Let's do this. So if you're bullish, it needs to get above the all-time highs and confirm. If you're bearish, you need to get under the 20, under the 50, then I think this thing's going to go. But we had great support here at the window. That's why we're bouncing. I would have loved to have seen a little bit lower to capture that. Then I would probably went long for maybe a day or two. But you seen what happened here? All of a sudden it's going up and then it turns, clicks, and boom, straight back down. I still believe we're going to go right back to the window and we're going to fill the gap around 765. And then ultimately we're getting back to the 200. That's if you're bearish. If you're bullish, you need to get above the 813, 887 area with confirmation, and it should continue upwards. Tall task in these markets. The markets are going to have to catch a bid to keep it going. If that doesn't happen, these are all going down. But again, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months up. Bullish consolidation, inside bar. It started coming in, but now we have a micro bear right here going sideways in a macro bull setup. This here is still holding the inside bar, the low around 785.19, and that was also the low, almost, what was the low? 783.50, so it was $1.50 under that low, but they popped it up. As long as that stays above that 785.19, it's okay. It starts going sideways in this micro bearish pattern. We are definitely coming into this area around the 750, and then we'll reevaluate the charts and see how low these things can go. Monthly chart, have a nice little, I mean, it's not the best, not the worst, but it is a little topping tail. Again, if you're bullish, if it closes above here on a monthly time frame and continues going up, you might want to think about covering, but you do have some upper trend lines up in this area, especially this guy here, where, you know, 866, 875, you know, still a long ways away, but it could definitely go, but it still needs some consolidation to make that move up. So be very careful, guys, in the markets. Again, it's all a market trade right now. Just be careful. Let's look at Wynn real quick. Wynn, what an epic move. Let me tell you, even on a down day, it was moving, but now we really ripping. I guess they have some news coming out of China, how good everything is, and oh my gosh, they're all spending money and gambling. But again, we're right in this area where it needs to break through it, period. If it does not break through this area around the 104, 105, kind of like Baidu, 106, it's not going higher. But if it does crack through there, you got the 110 area right in here where this thing can definitely go. You had another breakdown here. Then ultimately you have a gap fill there and you got a window right up here. So it could go up. If you are bullish, it needs to get above the 104.57, 105. Then it's going to 111, 110 area. If it gets up into there, you got to think about protecting these longs, because we still did move up from the 88 to the 103, 104 area. So that was a hell of a move in a short time. So I'm thinking we get a nice short-term pullback. And then if the markets start to go up more, we should get more upside on this one. If the markets start to collapse, this one will continue down. Probably kiss the 200 moving average and come to these lower pivots. Again, if you're bullish, you want to get above the 105 area and keep this thing going. Just looking at this though right now, that's a heck of a move. It is getting a little bit stretched. I think it's time for this one to possibly pull back, but let's see what happens in the markets tomorrow. Everything will be a market trade. Markets were up, this thing was going. If the markets were down today, I think this thing still would have got a little bit of a bid. We would have filled the gap around 99.71, and then this $100.56 number at the 750 retrace, that would have been stopping this thing a little bit more. But again, markets caught a bid and this thing went up. Weekly, same thing. Boom, inside bar, comes to the top. Now we're an inside bar again, comes to the top. Let's see how this thing reacts and see where this thing closes on a weekly basis. Monthly chart, let me tell you, this isn't a bad consolidation to possibly move up. This is nice bullish consolidation, but we're on this breakdown bar right here. This bar, this is where it's got to get above the 105 area. This is what's been holding it down. And if this bullish pattern fails, we're going right back down to 53 bucks. If this pattern really starts working out, this thing could actually go to 130. Maybe higher. I'd have to reevaluate. But if the market's dump, this one's not going anywhere. Eventually it will putter out and it'll start moving down with the markets. There's only so many buyers, and once the buyers step aside, then when you're selling flat out indexes, and this isn't an index, it's all going down. Doesn't matter. I want to look at one more. And this is another Chinese one that just keeps going. And I talked about NVIDIA too. This is starting to become a high flyer. See what happens? It gets way too extended from the 20, comes back in. Way too extended, comes back in. Here it goes again. And today's move, man, that was epic. That was a great move up. And you also have a trend line going back. So now we're above that trend line again. Let's see if we can confirm above it and keep it rolling. But on this one, we're doing it on a weekly basis. I deleted that. I'll have to put that in. But I mean, even on a weekly basis, I want to see whatever the high is on this one. I want to see it close above the high next week to see if we get some follow through. If not, I think we're just going to reverse and go straight back down. I don't even know. Maybe this one had news. I'm not even sure. But I'm just following the monthly chart. We're getting a little bit too stretched here, a little bit too far from the shore here. And once this thing starts coming in, I mean, that's at 154 bucks, and this thing's at 230. First stop would be right around 187.46. Next stop would be about 154.46. If you want to start writing calls on this one would be the time to do it. Buying a put right now, this thing could consolidate up here and then drop. I'd rather write a call and then pay the premium on the and just pocket the premium. All right, guys, that's a couple more stocks for you tonight. Hopefully you're enjoying my videos. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at stockbookie@gmail.com. Hope you enjoy. Hopefully you're learning something from me other than me blabbing and blabbing and blabbing. I've been doing this stuff for a long time, guys. Love the trade, and God bless. See you on the charts.